for your eyes because this ain't the first time this has happened. It's just happening in our generation, right? In our generation. So it's new to us. It's unique to us. It's scary for some, especially when you don't know your past. You don't know a lot of the history of what's going on, what's taking place. You know, we have civilizations buried under the waters. Civilizations buried underneath oceans and buried under ashes. You know, so this ain't the first time things have went on in this earth, and we're going to cover some more of that today. As I started out last week with Noah and his generation, he was found righteous in his generation, and I'm talking about in his generation. And what generation are you, or who are you in your generation? Right? That's pretty much where I'm coming from, and we're going to talk a little bit about Noah again after the flood, and what was going on during that time period. And what was going on during that time period. So there's so many writings that collaborate, that overlap, that fills in gaps. Because if you think the scriptures is everything that's in the canon that they have put together, that the Council of Nicene and more recently years, the various Christian councils that get together to put these Bibles together, and everybody thinks that this is the inerrant, or it's all there. I say those are clues. It's like a big clue book. It should lead you to something else. This is like the starter. Like if it's a primer, that's what that book is, the primer. All right, and then as you begin to read it, as the Ruach starts to deal with you, you should start seeing some patterns, and you should start making some connections. It's not just, oh, I know that Bible story. Oh, yeah, I know he did that over there. And then it challenges you because now the way you're thinking, how you're approaching the scriptures, how you're approaching the scriptures, your view of the scriptures and how they bear with me one moment. I'm trying to change something here. I like the presentation view. All right. How things play out. You start to see these patterns, and that's the whole point. You should start seeing this cylindrical pattern over and over again. As I said, what has been done will be done again. All right, and it just builds. It just builds. It just builds. That's why I'm taking my time. It just builds. Yeah. My next generation. That's what we're talking about. That's when our babies, you know, the ones that's behind us. We've come into the knowledge of the truth, and we're supposed to learn all we can, and then pass that on to the next generation. Right? We pass this on from generation to generation. A lot of times, things have been lost. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and see if my keyboard gonna work for me. It should, shouldn't it? Yeah. I guess. All right. So the rules used for all lessons. All right. Please keep your mic muted, except when asking or answering a question. Use the mic when you speak. And sometimes it gets difficult. We get excited. We start talking. But try to get the mic first and then start talking because everybody wants to hear what you have to say. There's a feature on the Zoom in the meeting room where you can raise your hand if you have a question. All questions must be on topic. You have 60 seconds to ask or answer your question. If you pass 60-second window, your mic will be muted for you. Don't worry, you can continue talking, but we're going to be moving on. These rules are due to the time and the recording of these lessons. These are live teachings. We must give the Moreh enough time to complete the lesson. Hallelujah. All right. Defining a generation. Again, last week, just recapping this. I want to keep this before your mind. Dor, a generation. It's a masculine noun meaning generation, period of time, posterity, age, time, setting of life. In general, the word indicates the time from birth to death. The time from one's birth to the birth of one's first child, equal a generation. The living adults of certain time or place, a period, as it is defined through a major events, which you're going to see a lot of that, person's behavior, and the spirit of the age. We got a certain spirit that's happening in this age, right? It also makes a duration of time, or marks a duration of time. There is no agreed on length of time, which may stretch from 20 to 100 years or more. But the word is also used figuratively to mean an indefinite or unending length of time in the past or the future. And we'll see all that in the scriptures as we go. Okay? Okay. Let's make sure I'm on the right one. Come on. Okay. No, that's not the problem. That's not the problem at all. I'm reading off of the old lesson. That's the problem. All right. Some of the stuff is the same, but some of the stuff is not. All right. So the past is prologue. Whatever was written in former days was written for our instruction, so that by steadfastness, and by the encouragement of the scriptures, we might have hope. Romans 15:4. If you keep doing the same thing, same way, and expecting different results, that's the definition of what? Insanity. And you're basically this dog chasing his tail. So there's a reason why we're supposed to study the scriptures, research the scriptures. It's not just for self-edification, but it's supposed to make you aware of what Yahuah has done, what has happened in mankind history, and how to avoid certain pitfalls as we go forward. Because if you don't know the past, again, I say you're doomed to repeat it. All right. The Song of Moses through the generations. So we're going to read this again. I need you to keep this in your heart, because eventually we're going to go through this whole song. It's attached to every part of the scripture, and it's a timeless song. So I'm going to pick it up at the 5th verse to the 8th. They have dealt corruptly with him. Speaking him is the Most High. They are no longer his children, because they are blemished. They are a crooked and twisted generation. Do you thus repay Yahuah, you foolish and senseless people? Is he not your father who created you, who made you and established you? Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask your father, and he will show you your elders, and they will tell you. And when the Most High gave the nations their inheritance, when he divided mankind, he fixed the borders of the people according to the numbers of the sons of El, or Elohim, right? The sons of Elohim, we went over that last week. You remember what that was? Who they were? No? Anybody? Malachim. That's one of the classes of Malachim, correct? He just want to have it close by. All right, here we go. I'm going to pick up at Genesis 11, and I want to cover some things before we move forward. Now the earth was corrupted in Elohim's sight, and the earth was filled with violence. And Elohim saw that the earth was corrupt. All the flesh had corrupted its ways upon the earth. So there was a report that went back to the Most High Yah, right, of what was going on down on the earth. We covered a lot of that last week about what was actually going on and why Noah found favor amongst his generation, right? Because he rejected what? What did he reject? What he didn't get down with? It was called something. You remember? The secret things. The secret things. The secret things. And they listed the secret things, how they were mining up the ores, iron and brass. In other words, doing everything we do, stripping the earth of its metals. They were taking the different aclamy and different ores, making makeup out of them. you know, teaching women how to beautify their faces. We didn't actually go into that particular verse, but it's in First Enoch 10. Covers a lot of it. Gives us specific details on certain things. And it reiterates throughout Enoch, truthfully. Enoch 10, Enoch 15, Enoch 68. But we're going to pick it up here at Enoch 9 and 1 because the watchers were watching, those that are also a part of that group, Enoch 1:9. And Michael and Sapphirael and Gabriel observed carefully from the sky, and they saw much blood being shed upon the earth, and all the oppression being wrought upon the earth. And they said to one another, the earth from her empty foundation has brought the cry of their voices unto the gates of heaven. And now, O set apart ones of Shamayim or heaven, the souls of the people are putting their case before you, pleading, bringing our judgment before the Most High. Now, one other time we hear about the cries coming up from the land, coming from the earth in future generations. Is there another time where the cries come up and say, we got to cry out unto the Most High? He heard our cry and he delivered us, right? You remember that? Israel.
And it was when the people were in Egypt when they cried out.
Every time we got into captivity. But this is a situation where there was something going on with the Malachim that came down, the watchers that came down, and they had children. All right, we're going to keep it going. All right. And they said to the creator of the potents, for he is the sovereign of sovereigns and the Elohim of Elohim, and the King of kings, and the seat of his esteem stands throughout all the generations of the world. Your name is set apart and blessed and esteemed throughout the whole earth. And this is the Malachim bringing a report up to the Most High, trying to find information, trying to find an answer. You have made everything, and with you is the authority for everything. Everything is naked and open before your sight, and you see everything. And there is nothing which is hid itself from you. So they say, Most High, you know what's going on. You have to see what's happening right now. And behold, the set apart one will cry. And those who have died will bring their suit up to the gates of heaven. Their groaning has ascended into heaven, but they could not get out from before the face of the oppression that had been wrought on the earth. And you know everything, even before it came into existence. And you see this thing, but you do not tell us what is the proper for us that we may do regarding it. Now, I want you to take this as an example of how we should respond. They didn't just take it upon themselves to start doing something. They didn't say, whoa, they got something going on down there. Let's go down there and dun, 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 and see if we can fix this. But they say, we're seeking Yahuah. He says, to do what? Not lean on your own understanding, but we're supposed to acknowledge him in all our ways. We seek the answer from him. What do you want us to do regarding this? All right. And he's saying that the set apart ones were crying out because there were righteous ones that were being slaughtered down there. Right? So you got Methuselah's kids are still down there. You got Lamech's kids still down there. You got Enoch's children. He had sons and daughters, all of Noah's cousins. They're still down there. They're dying at the hands of these giants who are. Okay. You have a question? Okay.
I do. So are you saying that is it the blood that's crying out, or it's actually the people that are crying out?
At this point, the people are crying out. There's destruction in the land. We don't really know what war is like here in this country. We have no conceivable idea or notion what it would be like to be under constant threat of life. Now, I understand we feel that way because of certain circumstances with our brothers in blue, as they would say, law enforcement and so forth. But it's not anywhere to the point where your life is in peril. Just walking outside and being threatened that you might be eaten. They were eating the people. They were drinking their blood. They were destroying their homes, their crops, their livestock. They were just totally disrupted their lives. They was constantly hiding and in total suffering. So yeah. So this is the people that are crying out. Okay. We see that I want to tie this in. Luke 8:16. This is what the Mashiach said about an unjust judge. Because they went to the judge and he was telling him everything that was going on. And he said, and the sovereign said, this is Yahushua speaking, listen to what the unjust judge says. And will not Eloah grant justice to his chosen ones who cry to him day and night? Will he delay long in helping them? I tell you, he will quickly grant justice to them. And yet, will the Son of Man, when the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on earth? And what do we say faith is?
The substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen.
Okay. What else? Will he find you being faithful? Loyal. Remember what I'm saying? Loyalty to Yahuwah. Will you find someone that's going to be loyal to him? Even during these trying times, you found one man that was actually going to be loyal to him, that was staying away from the things that he hated and embracing the things that he loved. All right, let's continue on. Genesis 6:13. And Elohim said unto Noah, I have determined to make an end of all flesh, for the earth is filled with violence because of them. Now I am going to destroy them along with the earth. And then the Most High instructions came down. He said this to Noah. Enoch 10:1. And they spoke, then spoke the Most High, the great and set apart one. And he sent Ezrael to the sons of Lamech, saying, send him to Noah, the son of Lamech. Tell him in my name, hide yourself. Hide yourself. I'm going to come back to that. And reveal to him the end of what is coming. For the earth and everything will be destroyed. And the deluge is about to come upon all the earth, and all that is in it will be destroyed. There's another time he's going to tell his loved ones, his holy ones, his set apart ones to hide themselves. Hide themselves. It goes on, for my part, as the Most High continues, I'm going to bring a flood of waters on the earth to destroy from under the heavens all flesh in which is beneath, that is the breath of life. Everything that is on the earth shall die. Now, he said, hide yourself. He's going to say that again. He's going to say it again. Isaiah 26:20. Come, my people, enter into your chambers and shut the door behind you. Hide yourselves for a little while yet until the wrath is past. For Yahuwah comes out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth will disclose the bloodshed on it and no longer cover its slain. So you see, it happened then, it's going to happen again. It's going to be, this process is going to go on. It's going to happen again. He's going to tell his loved ones to hide themselves. And he told him to hide in a certain place, right? He told him to hide in a certain place. So a remnant for a new generation. So now we're getting ready to go into the next part of this lesson. And now instruct him in order that he may flee, and his seed will be preserved for all generations. He told him to make yourself an ark of cypress wood, which is, they really don't know if it's cypress. It says gopher, and gopher is just a transliteration of the Hebrew word gopher. And he said, make rooms in the ark and cover it inside and out without pitch. So what is the ark associated with? We've been doing Torah portions a while now, or has been touching on a lot of things. What does the ark represent?
The Ark of the Covenant.
You got the Ark of the Covenant, but what the Ark of the Covenant represent? See what I'm saying?
Shamayim.
Oh, no, low. What does the Ark of the Covenant represent?
the Most High's
No.
will. I forgot.
Are we
The throne of
styled?
the Most High. Satlika. The Most
That's
High.
all right. Those are all the correct answers, but
The
those are surface.
covering.
We are. It represents us, right? We're the covering. We are the ones that's hiding. And this is also, we are the ark itself. We're the thing that's supposed to carry the word, right, inside of us. The bread that was in there, the staff that budded, all that is in us. It's supposed to be in us. It represents something about us. This also is connected to what else? When he says to cover, kefar. Kefar. Say again. Kefar. Kepar. I should say kepar. Kepar. Kepar.
No, I was saying village. Isn't Kafar village?
Kapar. All right, well, I say keparim. What does keparim mean? Keparim. Yeah. Yom Kippurim. Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur. Maybe atonement. So this is dealing with atonement. He's telling him to go hide yourself in this ark, and he's going to, for your atonement, he's going to cover him during this time. You got to keep all this in mind when you're reading. It's not just, it's just he made an ark. And he pitched it in and pitched it out. These words associated, when you go back and look at it in the Hebrew, is going back to the covering. We say that Yom Kippurim is about a day of a covering, right? It's just covering you, protecting you. Moray?
So just so I'm tracking with you.
Is your mic on?
They might have me on low. They didn't want me
No,
to talk.
that's right there. Let's go. Yeah.
Testing. Okay. All right. So just so we're tracking here, you're basically sharing that the Noah's Ark was a picture of those that were righteous. They were inside the ark, found favor with the Most High, and they were covered. So he got atoned. Everyone else died, but they were alive. And then we went to what we talked about was just like, or a mirror, a picture of the Ark of the Covenant, where it has all the things necessary, things budding, which mean like almonds. Almonds actually means like to guard and to see. Then we had the commandments in there. And so they had to carry that wherever they went. And then later on, you say, now we're the ark, and all the things that were in that ark is in us, and we're supposed to walk the same way, and then we'll be covered. Same principle.
Same principle through and through. That's what you've been getting out of all these Torah portions and lessons that we've been taking. So every time you see that, you key in your mind, boom. This is what this is saying. This is what this is about. All right, let's move on. Genesis 6:18. But I will establish my covenant with you, and you shall come into the ark, you, your sons, your wife, and your sons' wives with you. All right. And Sirach 44.
So that means that Noah, being the head of his house, his the wives and the sons and everybody was covered because of that righteousness. Because of
the righteousness, yeah. We said that last week. Because of him, they were covered. If you have a righteous head, you might as well you snuggle up real close, because in the fire fall, you could be safe.
6 feet?
Not doing the coronavirus. All right. So you have, so everybody was protected because of his righteousness. And I was just thinking about that. It marveled me because I was like, what happened to his brothers and sisters? They all either perished in the flood or perished by the giants. It was it perished either way. But they were spared. He said for a specific reason. Here we go, Sirach 44:17. And Noah was found perfect and righteous, and it was in the time of wrath, he kept the race alive. Therefore, a remnant was left on the earth when the flood came. Everlasting covenants were made with him that all flesh should never again be blotted out by a flood. We talk about this remnant, a remnant for a new generation. And the Most High has it where he's going to have another remnant. This is a pattern that's going to repeat throughout. So from this generation to the next generation, you're going to always see there's going to be a remnant of people. Isaiah 10 and 20, on that day, the remnant of Israel and the survivors of the house of Yaakov will no more lean on the one who struck them. In other words, those who are oppressing us, we won't be dependent on them anymore, right? But we'll lean on Yahuah, the set apart one of Israel, in truth, not in your own understandings, but in what he's established as truth. And what is truth? The word in general, right? The laws, statutes, and commandments. All right. But through your people, Israel will be like the sands of the sea. So they're going to be a bunch of us, but he said only a remnant of them. Only a remnant of them will remain. They're going to be, although for they, though the people of Israel like the sands of the sea, but only a remnant will return. Destruction is decreed, overflowing with righteousness. For Adon Yahuah of hosts will make a full end, as decreed in all the earth. Are you going to be a part of that remnant in your generation? Part of the remnant in your generation. All right, a fresh start. Starting fresh. So we're going to see a pattern here, going back and forth. In the 601st year, in the first month, the first day of the month, the waters were dried up from the earth, and Noah removed the covering of the ark and looked and saw that the face of the ground was drying. And in the second month, on the 27th day of the month, the earth was dry. And so that's a reflection back to what? Do we know? Can you should come to your mind? We're talking about water. We're talking about dry ground showing up.
Moses going through the taking the people through the water. They went through and it was
Something before that one though.
before that. Oh, in the beginning.
Genesis.
Yeah. Genesis. Genesis 1, 2. All right. The earth was formless and void, and darkness covered the face of the deep, while a wind from Elohim swept, or the Ruach of Elohim swept over the face of the waters. And Elohim said, let the waters under the sky be gathered into one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. And Elohim called the dry land earth, and the waters that were gathered together he called sea. And Elohim said that it was good. So Noah looked out of the ark. He was the first one popping through the ark, like the first one raising from the dead. Huh? Or the first one raising back to the life, or coming like a plant through the ground. Right? He's coming out and he looks down and he sees this water. And it alludes back to this. This is a brand new beginning, because when Elohim was over the face deep, there was chaos everywhere. And that's the way it was with Noah. He was in his ark. He was protected from that chaos. But now he says the drown is being restored. We have a fresh start. All right. Genesis 8:15. Then Elohim said to Noah, go out of the ark, you, your wife, your sons, and your son's wife with you. Bring out with you every living thing that is with you of all flesh, birds and animals and everything, creeping thing that creeps on the earth, so that they may abound on the earth and be fruitful and multiply. All right? Be fruitful and multiply. So he's going back, giving a command. So did he give that command before? All right. Elohim said, bless Noah and his sons, and says, and be fruitful and multiply. And you see Genesis 1:27. And Elohim created mankind in his image. And in the image of Elohim, he created them, male and female, he created them. And Elohim blessed them, and Elohim said to them, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth. All right. All right. So we're seeing these patterns repeat. This is what you should pick it up every time you look and say, okay, he's starting over again. This is a brand new start. He is the remnant of mankind. He's the one that's going to preserve mankind going forward. And we're going to see this pattern as we go forward every time. He's taking a remnant out. Every place he goes, he has a remnant of people coming out, a remnant of people. It's going to always be a remnant because not everybody's going to be for Yahuwah. Not everybody's going to keep his commandments. Not everybody's going to love him the way they should. All right. He gave them a law, a covenant, and a law. All right, a covenant and a law. So he told them to be fruitful and multiply. He told the same thing to Adam, and he gave him a law on top of that. Right. So then Noah built an altar unto Yahuwah and looked and took of every clean animal and every clean bird and offered burnt offerings on the altar. You can't have a covenant without the shedding of blood, right? And when Yahuwah smelled the pleasing odor, Yahuwah said, in his heart, I will never again curse the ground because of humankind or mankind. For the inclinations of the human heart is evil from youth. For nor will I ever again destroy every living creature as I have done, as long as the earth endures seed time and harvest time, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease. Is that still going on today? So the cycle is continued. All right.
Sliha, More. Can you break down that verse in Genesis 8:21, where he says, "An inclination of human's heart is evil from youth"?
Ken. All right. So because of the knowledge that we had acquired, right? That knowledge did not go away. That knowledge did not go away. So in the human heart, you're going to see as we go forward, this inclination happens over and over again. So when we get to Noah to Nimrod, you're going to say, why would Nimrod all of a sudden want to reject everything that his forefathers have told him and rebel against the Most High? It's there, that constant questioning or that constant nagging. I want to go into that a little bit more, like I said, later on, but this inclination of man's heart. He says, what is our heart? He said, who knows our heart? What do we know about our heart? That it's wicked and it's deceitful, right? We think we're doing the right thing because we say, I'm following my heart, right? So we're going to get into that a little bit later. All right, this
Wait, Tamari,
inclination,
I
man's
have
heart.
I have a question. I hate to interrupt. So when the Most High Yahuwah destroyed every flesh, all the flesh that was on the earth, and because of what the Malachims did,
Mm-hmm.
by unleashing knowledge that was not supposed to be known to mankind, they also unleashed unclean spirits, correct? That was still on the earth,
But we're
even
going
though
to,
they
yeah, I understand. Yeah. We're going to get to that because there's a reason why. There's a reason why their unclean spirits or the evil spirits came about.
Okay, Toda
There's a
More.
reason. Well, Moray Lamadyahu did this a while back, but I'm just kind of recapping on what he did. I'm just recapping.
All right. So real quick, the inclination.
Turn your mic on. It is? I don't hear you.
I don't know.
Okay, there you go.
That's how they do
Lower
me.
it down.
Yeah.
Tell them to come inside.
Okay. Yeah. Tell them I'm inside. They just don't like my mic. He turned the mic off.
Okay.
As I can tell
I didn't hear you. That's why.
They can't hear.
Okay, I get it now. I got you.
Oh, okay. All right. So a couple things. When Ak was asking about the inclination, you remember in the lesson we did previously about that word yetzer, right? Where it talks about the imagination of the heart. And that's how it is today. Our imagination can take over our thoughts. So when you start talking about, this way, this inclination, this imagination is wicked from our youth, you got to understand that inclination, where is this inclination coming from? Is this thing coming from experience? Is it coming from something that you see, something that you inherited, something that you were a part of that you've never gotten rid of? that thing is from the youth. So we see children today, for an example. I know all of our children are the best thing since sliced bread.
Yes.
I mean, they do nothing wrong.
They can do nothing wrong.
But how many times have you asked yourself, why your child, like, my goodness, like, what is wrong with you?
Mm-hmm.
You ask these things because there's something in them that they've inherited, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And so that thing has to be bounced off of a weight with the Father's word, that particular spirit.
You ain't got to teach them how to lie. You ain't got to teach them how to steal. And you ain't got to teach them how to cover it up. They got that all on their own. You ain't even show them none of that. They'll lie on their brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? They point fingers real quick. It's just in them. All right. But that was brought out. All right. Genesis 2:9-2. The fear and the dread of you shall rest on every animal of the earth, and every bird of the air, and everything that creeps on the ground, and all the fish of the sea. Into your hand they are covered. They're delivered. Right? Every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. Is that correct? Every living thing is going to be food. Did they know anything about it, clean and unclean? Okay. So there was a tahar is the word for clean. And then the word for unclean was ain. Tahar. What is ain? That means absolutely not clean. Absolutely not clean. So they knew the difference between clean and unclean. So when he says every moving thing that lives, he said, now, the clean things that you're allowed to eat. And just as I gave you the green plants, I give you everything. Only, here's a caveat, here's another law. Only you shall not eat the flesh with its life, that is, its blood. Right? So now we see something developing here. Elohim said in Genesis 1:29, see, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree with seed in it, its fruits, and you shall have them for food. So when the earth was flooded over with water, anybody been in a flood? What happens to the land when it's been in a flood? Nobody. I live in Louisiana, so when it floods over, everything dies. The grass dies. Everything is brown and dingy. So you can't grow. You gotta wait some time to recondition the soil so you can plant. So what are you gonna eat? If all your trees are dead and your herbs and things are dead, and you got to be regenerated. So this is why he says, okay, now I'm going to give you the animals now. You can use them to eat for food, all right? Because you had to wait time for it to regenerate. Let it do its thing. He's not forcing the order. Continue on with the covenant law. Genesis 9:5. For your own life, I will surely require a reckoning from every animal. I will require it, and from human beings, each one for the blood of another. I will require a reckoning for human life. Whoever sheds the blood of a human, by a human shall that person's blood be shed. For in his own image Elohim made mankind or humankind. He made us in his image. And anytime we murder, we are trying to kill him, trying to kill his image. What was one of the big things about the Malachim coming down and procreating? Taking on man's flesh. Did anybody know? Did you pick that up yet? They were trying to put their image in the earth. They were trying to substitute the image of the Most High. All right? So you got to remember what the fallen ones were doing. So this is all connected why he's saying, don't do this. Enoch 7:3, these giants consumed the produce of all the people until the people detested feeding them. So the giants turned against the people in order to eat them. And they began to sin against the birds and the wild beasts and the reptiles and the fish. And their flesh was devoured, the one by the other, and they drank blood. So this is why he says, look, don't do this. And every time there's something, you're going to see how it builds. The law was always there, but they were violating the laws. All right, let's go. That's why we get this, Leviticus 17:12. Therefore I say to the people of Israel, no person among you shall eat blood, nor shall any alien who resides among you eat blood. And anyone of the people of Israel or of the aliens who reside among you, not those types of aliens, no, foreigners, strangers, who hunts down an animal or bird that may be eaten, the ones that may be eaten, shall pour out its blood and cover it with earth. So anytime you kill something and you bleed it out, you don't just let the blood lay on the ground. Cover it with the dirt. For the life of every creature, its blood is its life. Therefore I have said to the people of Israel, you shall not eat the blood of any creature, for the life of every creature is its blood. Whoever eats it shall be cut off. So you like your steaks rare, do you? Medium rare? You like a little, just a little. Yeah, you want it because it makes it juicier, right? Yeah, used to. Yeah, you didn't know this law. Now you know. You should be like, hold on, I can't eat raw meat like that. All right. You continue on. This is also connected to what happened with Cain and Abel, right? So Genesis 4:8. Cain said to his brother Abel, let us go out to the field. And when they were in the field, Cain rose up against his brother Abel and killed him. Then Yahuah said to Cain, where is your brother Abel? And he said, I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper? And Yahuah said, what have you done? Listen, your brother's blood is crying out to me from the ground. And now you are cursed from the ground, which has opened his mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hands. And it goes on. I like to highlight that with Jubilee 4, because it's all going back. This is why he's giving this law and this covenant. And the end of the Jubilee, Cain was killed 1 year after him. And the him in this situation is Adam. Adam has just died. He didn't make it to a whole day, right? He died how many years short of a day? This is, 30, there we go. All right. So he died 70 years short. He lived 930 years, right? All right. And his house fell upon him, and he died in the midst of this house, and he was killed by its stones because he killed Abel with a stone. And with a stone, he was killed by righteous judgment. And he says, therefore, it is ordained in the heavenly tablets with the weapon which a man kills his fellow, he shall be killed, just as he has wounded him, thus he shall do to him. So you get that eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, stripe for stripe. So whatever you do to somebody else, that judgment is going to be pronounced upon you. All right? So we go to Leviticus 27:4. Therefore, take a human life shall surely be put to death. Whoever takes a human life shall surely be put to death. Whoever takes an animal's life shall make it good. And this is you've stolen something from someone else. All right? It takes an animal life to make it good, life for life. If anyone injures his neighbor as he has done, it shall be done to him, fracture for fracture, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. Whatever injury has been given to a person shall be given to him. Whoever kills an animal shall make it good, and whoever kills a person shall be put to death. You shall not have the same rule you should have the same rule. You shall have the same rule. I'll say it again. You shall have the same rule for the sojourner and for the native, for I am Yahuah Elohim. So somebody might say, well, didn't Mashiach says, you have heard it said, an eye for an eye, tooth for tooth, but I say unto you, right? But we're saying you can't make this judgment upon your own. You can't just take it upon, well, he did this to me, I'm gonna get him back. You're taking vengeance in your own hands. You have a proper procedure. So you take your grievance to the judge with the evidence that you have, and they have the law, the mitzvot, to prescribe what should happens. All right.
Slikamore,
I'm here. Yes.
that would be the same as when Hamashiach Yahusha said, "Do unto others as you would have done to you." Ken?
Ken. Yeah. What's the other question? Kanisha?
Torah Ramore. So this is gonna sound like a really stupid question, but so so is this like so let's say it happens before you come into the walk and you are is this one of the sins that can be the multitude of sins that can be covered by Yahshua Mashiach? Am I correct?
Okay, so yeah, basically, remember, before you come into the covenant, whatever you did prior to the covenant, that's not what he's talking about. The minute you come into the covenant, you make an agreement to abide by his word. That's when your time starts.
What if it's something that follows you into that I'm trying not to be too. Yeah, so what if it's something that is still with you even though I don't know how to put it. Okay. Torah.
All right, whenever you can put it, let us know, and we'll walk it out from there. But at any rate, I'll just say simply that from the time that you go forward, you still just have to walk in righteousness of his word. So there are some things that people have done before the walk that is still affecting them now, right? And so the best they can do is walk it out, just as much as Israel when they do Yom Kippur, David told me there are some things that once it's forgiven. Now, how that works to another person, I don't, because I'm not sure what the other side of this is. Then we can talk about that.
Torah.
Let me read this right quick. This is from Josephus, Antiquities 102. He said, however, I require you to abstain from the shedding the blood of men. Right? He's referring to recapping, mankind, right? And keep yourself pure from murder, and to punish those that commit such things. I permit you to make use of all the other living creatures at your pleasure, that the Most High told you, right? And as your appetite leads you, you're talking about the clean things, not the unclean things. For I have made you sovereign over them all, both of those that walk on the land and those that swim in the waters and those that fly in the regions of the air, except their blood, for therein is the life. So we see that this is, you can go back through the historical records. Everybody knows this is the law that has been given from the very beginning. And there was a reason for those laws to be manifested and given. All right. You can also look at this in Exodus 21, 32, 25, and Deuteronomy 19, 21. Now, I'm not going to be long today, so don't worry about that. All right. All right. Genesis 9:8. And then Elohim said to Noah and to his sons with him, all right, as for me, I am establishing my covenant with you and your descendants after you. Everybody in this room is a descendant. Everybody in this world is a descendant of some nature. You've chosen the path you're going to be on, but you're a descendant of this, because after they came, it was only three men, Ham, Shem, and Japheth, that the world was populated from. They were the, Ham eat ham? Okay. And with every living creature that is with you, the birds, the domestic animals, and every animal on the earth with you, as many as come out of the ark. I will establish my covenant with you, that never again shall all flesh be cut off by the waters of a flood. And never again shall there be a flood to destroy the earth. All right. And I want to read this here to correlate with that. He's making this covenant, he's saying, with all the creatures and with man, that he would never again destroy the earth by water again. And then when Noah had made these supplications, he had made prayers to the Most High Elohim, who loved the man for his righteousness, granted entire success to his prayers, and said that it was not he who wrought the destruction on a polluted world. Sometimes we feel when something bad happens to those around us, and we're in this world, but we're not of it, but there are things that's going to happen, destruction is going to happen. Don't feel bad, because it wasn't because of you that this came upon them, but that they underwent that vengeance on account of their own wickedness. Sometimes you want to help people, but you can't. Sometimes they're under the chastisement of the Most High, or the vengeance of the Most High. So you got to be careful how you interact when somebody's going through a situation. Pay attention, listen, be prayerful, and be aware. Because if the Most High says hands off, they are mine, then you can't do nothing for them. You know, your prayers will, your supplications will not be heard. I don't want to hear it right now. Their butt is mine. All right. And he had not brought men into the world if he had himself determined to destroy them. So the Most High says, I didn't bring the men into the world to destroy them, but they made it necessary. Right? He doesn't want to destroy everybody in the wicked. He has no pleasure in the death of the wicked. He takes no pleasure in it. He wants everybody to turn to him and love him. He doesn't take any pleasure in the death. We should not take pleasure in watching our loved ones suffer or going down the wrong path. You know, we should be trying to warn them until they have totally just made the decision and rejected them. Every time you can, with loving compassion, try to draw them. But he says that wasn't his determination. All right. Continue on. And Elohim said, this is the sign of the covenant. Now, every time he establishes a covenant, he establishes a sign. Right? This is the sign of the covenant that I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for all future generations. I have set my bow in the clouds, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and the earth. When I bring clouds over the earth and you see, and the bow is seen in the clouds, I will remember my covenant that is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh, and the waters will never again become a flood to destroy all flesh. So we still seeing rainbows today? Yeah. Well, I'm not talking about the flag rainbow. They might have hijacked the rainbow sign, but that sign is for all the earth to know that he said he will never destroy the earth or the flesh off it by water again. And when the bow is in the clouds, I will see it and remember. He said, this is what I'm going to remember. The everlasting covenant between Elohim and every living creature of all the flesh of all the earth. And Elohim said to Noah, this is the sign of the covenant that I have established between me and all the flesh that is with you. So we see that he's established a covenant, and we see that he's established a law. He established a covenant and a law with Adam. He's established a covenant law with the new generation, the fresh start. All right. And what else is a sign of the covenant? Give me some other signs of the covenant.
Blood.
You say blood is a sign of a covenant. Blood is used in a covenant. But what is the signs of the covenant? What does Scripture tell us the signs of a covenant are? Anybody? Say again.
Someone say something? Oh, she said she need a mic.
Deuteronomy 28. Okay. All right. The signs of the covenant. We got circumcision is a sign of the covenant. Is the Shabbat a sign of a covenant? Shabbat is the sign of a covenant, right? Right. So we have things that are that He's given us that we're supposed to keep as the eternal signs of the covenants, and these covenants don't go away, don't disannul each other. They keep going, just like
The
this
feast
covenant.
days also, I'm sorry, Maurice, we call the feast days, the celebration of his feast
Yes,
days.
yes, sir. Yes. I appreciate that because Todah. This is something that we are to keep is established between us, His people, and Him, right? Throughout their generations, we're to pass this on. For so long, like I said, we have been disconnected from what Yahuah had for us. Maybe people were out of ignorance; they didn't know. All right. So we almost finished here. I told you I'm not going to be long today. Let me that. All right. Here we go. The hope of a generation, right? And this is the purpose of these lessons. I'm trying to get to the point where you understand this is not about you, but in your generation, you should be striving to be like Noah was in his generation, blameless as Tamim, and righteous as Zadik before the Most High Yah, so that He can say, "That's one is mine." It's not just going about arbitrarily doing the law, statutes, and commandments and thinking that you're in line with Him, because at first, sincerely, you start out, but then after that, it becomes routine for you, and you don't really have your heart involved. That's why He said you got to love Him with what? All your heart. All your heart. Your soul, your mind. He weighs the heart in the balance. So my hope for a generation, Deuteronomy 29:14, He says, I make this covenant, and you're going to see this over and over again. He said, I make these covenants, sworn by an oath, not only with you who stand here with us today before Yahuah Elohim, but also for those who are not here with us today. And it's speaking to us. So anytime you say this is not just for the past generations, it is for this generation that we're standing in right now, and how we present it or package it or tell it and pass it on to our next generation. And we want to be this generation. They say the whole generation will serve Him. That, I would love to be alive to see that. Not just you, your sons, your children's children, your children's children, and the whole generation will serve Him. They will tell the next generation about Yahuah, and they will come and tell about His saving deeds, and they will tell a future generation what He has accomplished. So it's all about the children. Trying to get them to know exactly what's going on. It's not about, I need you to be religious. I don't want you to be religious. It's not about doing religious things. It's about understanding what has happened in our history, what has happened in this world, and being ready to answer the call when it comes. All right? So with that, I'm going to relinquish my stand. That's it. All right. Any questions pertaining to lesson day? Next week, we're going to talk about Noah to Nimrod. That's it. All right. Hallelujah. Let us stand. Last week, I kept you an hour and 40 minutes. This week, I reduced it.